For the next two perfect records, I'm doing The Pod by Ween and Hail to the Thief by Radiohead. I think every record by both of these bands is a 10. B-sides of these bands are a 10. But I picked these two records because to me they define most the union of like their sound, like the brown, experimental, weird, insular, confrontational aspect of Ween with the effects and the voices and the tape noises and the drum loops and short. The Pod is the most that. The Pod is so weird that the weird song on The Pod is the normal song. Oh My Dear, I Must Be Falling in Love is the weird song on The Pod. On any other Ween record, they have a weird song. They have Morning Glory or Mushroom Festival in Hell or Candy, or like they have one song to let you know like we're weird and we hate you and we're experimental and like we just like the music concrete noise, nothing is real, art is bullshit. Like they have one of those on most records, and then the rest of the record vaguely resembles rock and roll music. On The Pod, the entire record is fuck you, this is noise. Even though there's beautiful songs underneath it, they like intentionally produce it really badly in this really insular, paranoid, kind of overwrought way that makes it feel like you feel like you're like dope sick in bed and like hearing like a distorted version of a. It's just it captures that brown, whatever you want to call that, more than any Ween record. And with Radiohead, I feel like Hail to the Thief, it captures the Kid A, OK Computer evolution of the band. It foreshadows the future and the Kid A amnesiac techno stuff. It's all kind of integrated. It's very clearly a transitional record, and the schizophrenic quality of it is why I like it. It's one of my favorite Radiohead records. I think it's underrated slightly. The Pod, I think, is very underrated. So, I guess I'll do Hail to the Thief. Hail to the Thief starts with 2 plus 2 equals 5, sit down, stand up, which I view as like one long opener, sweet orchestral thing. Almost reminds me of like Paranoid Android or something that moves through these different sections with cool rhythms and melodies and this Orwellian kind of dark propaganda narration over it. And it's just classic Radiohead, and then it just kind of has this cathartic burst, and the techno noises come in and stuff. It's a really cool way to open a record, and I like what they do in those songs specifically. Sail to the Moon is a good like cool down third song. It's like a nice ballad that kind of cleanses the palate from like crazy two opening songs. And then Backdrifts is kind of back into that Kid A amnesiac kind of paranoid electronic sort of, but a little more fleshed out with guitar and stuff. It's a good song. Go to Sleep is a good song. It's like that's the one that's like, yeah, the doom 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 doom. I like that song. It's catchy. It's an underrated song. Where You End and Where I Begin is that the one that's like Reckoner? I think this is the early Reckoner one. That's how I think of it. Yeah, it goes like and then it builds. It's basically like a draft of Reckoner is how I view it. It's not a great song, but it's got a cool idea. The Gloaming is a great song. That's the best electronic Kid A type song on this record. It's one of their best songs, period. It's about, being a witch, being burned, being spied on by evil robot people, how everybody's murderers. It's a song I connect to a lot personally. And then They're There. It's just one of the greatest songs ever. I love that song. It's a perfect build. The melody is beautiful, the lyrics are incredible and prescient. It's arguably the best Radiohead song. It's very, very good. I miss We Suck Young Blood. I love We Suck Young Blood. We Suck Young Blood is like claps and piano. It's very sparse, very haunting. Just like the falsetto, like kind of creepy background Tom York vocals talking about like killing children and being a vampire. Typical Tom York stuff. And then it just builds slowly. Like all these parts are slowly moving in very quietly in the background, and it all builds to this one like 8 measures, where it's like 4 measures of build, 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 build. It's really sloppy, like off-key piano notes, like weird rhythms and shit, like screaming and stuff. And then it just bursts, and then it falls apart, collapses, and you're back to this ugly haunting. Are you ready? It's a very good song. It executes that loud, soft dynamic that Nirvana stole from the Pixies, for instance, and Radiohead probably stole from REM or the Smiths. But it's a good illustration of that type of technique used very well. The Gloaming, I think, other than There, I think the Gloaming is my favorite song on the record. I Will is a good song. It's the one that goes, yeah, it sounds like Tourist or Lucky. It sounds like an OK Computer ballad. It's okay. It's not one of my favorites. Punch Up at a Wedding, also not one of my favorites. I think this is the lull in the record. It's solid. It's not offensive. To me, it just doesn't resonate with me as like a memorable Radiohead song. But the last 3 songs on the record, I think, might be the best part of the record. Mix of Mitosis is amazing, very aggressive, paranoid. The rhythm is incredible. I love the bass line, and the lyrics are so good. It articulates a frustration in this really cathartic, beautiful way, and just kind of juxtaposes a bunch of images of sex and technology and death and power and slavery and brainwashing and media, and it's just like what that picture is on the cover of this record. That's Mitosis. Scatterbrain is a great song. It's underrated, as is the album closer, Wolf at the Door, which has an awesome build up, and I just love the way Tom York plays on the vocal line. It has that very simple beat that's almost like Because by the Beatles, that like do 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 do, but then they just put a simple beat behind it that like do 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 do, and then Tom York starts the lyrics. The lyrics are good, but I love the way he sings them. It's like this da 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 da. It's like he rhythmically plays with the 3/4 in the way that he like punctuates it, and then he'll just insert like little melody, start singing in the middle of a rhythm phrase. And again, the lyrics are this paranoid, Orwellian, 9/11 Bush, everybody's coming to burn you and kill you. Resonates nowadays, certainly, in these times. So yeah, it's the most, maybe not the best Radiohead record, but the most Radiohead record is Hail to the Thief. The most Ween record is The Pod. The Pod is a perfect record if you love Ween. If you do not like Ween, The Pod does not make any sense on any level, I don't think. It starts with Strap on That Jammy Pack, which is barely a song. I think it's kind of a litmus test to fucking freak out the squares. To be like, yeah, if you don't want this, turn it off now. But it's not a great song, but it works. It's funny as an intro. Dr. Rock is a great song. Great, just like classic rock song. That song could be a fucking hit for some 80s metal band. It sounds really good with live instrumentation too. The studio version I like because it's very uniquely kind of slow, plodding, dark, kind of has this satanic narcotic energy. Frank is amazing. It's one of the best Ween songs. The lyrics are nonsense. Um, Talks about a pork roll, egg, and cheese. At least 3 songs in this talk about a pork roll, egg, and cheese. She fucks me, and then the song, um, which I appreciate the absurdity of it, but also I just appreciate a Taylor ham. If you've never been in the fucking Northeast and had a fucking Taylor ham, egg, and cheese, dude, they're not kidding about pork roll, egg, and cheese. It's delicious. You should have one. I don't know why they don't make Taylor ham other places. Um, okay. So after Frank, you have Sorry Charlie, which is a great country song. I relate to the lyrics a lot. I sing along to them and feel sad. Um, but it's an amazing song. It's just a great, that could be a great country song if you just produced it better. Stallion Part 1, this is why. This is why I do the pod. Just that's what I want music to sound like. If there was any band that sounded like Stallion, they would be my favorite band. There is a band, Ween, but like if there was another band that just sounded like Stallion, I would probably like them even more than Ween. But unfortunately, I just have the parts of the Stallion that Ween gives me, and I'm grateful for it because I enjoy their other songs. But Stallion is just like obliterates any notion of art being like cute. Pollo Asado, undeniably hilarious. I reference it regularly in my daily life. It's just the perfect. The instrumental is actually really pretty. Kind of lulls you into a thing, and then Gina on the fucking just rambling. I assume it's Gina. Right to the Ways and the Rules of the World is a great like Canterbury Prague era. Sounds like it could be on like a fucking Gong album from '68. It's just this perfect song. It's beautiful. It talks about all the crazy Dungeons and Dragons like fucking incense and meh. It's beautiful. It's a great. If you love prog songs, especially, it's like, oh, they wrote an old, silly, self-serious prog anthem in the middle of this record. It feels like it was a gift for certain people. Captain Fantasy rules. It's a good riff. Demon Sweat is one of their best songs. It sounds like a Prince ballad. The vocals are great. It's a very simple song. This is a song that if you gave it to an R&B artist, I think it would actually be like a hit song. If you like gave a female R&B singer Demon Sweat and just produced it differently, that would be like Rihanna's biggest song. It's so good. It's a beautiful song. Molly, if Strap on That Jammy Pack bothered you, Molly is just a fuck you, get out of here intermission. I feel like to be like, okay, if you're not okay with this up until now, like here, this is gonna happen for minutes, for more than 3 minutes. This is going to happen. Are you still gonna? You're still down for the rest? I am. Can You Taste the Waste rolls? A good riff. Funny lyric. Don't Sweat It is good. It's I think that's the one that's kind of guitars. What's Don't Sweat It? I'm not remembering Don't Sweat It. Oh, Don't Sweat It is weird. Don't Sweat It is weird deconstructed shit, I think. It's good. It's not that memorable. There's so much weird shit on the record. I don't remember that song specifically. Awesome Sound rules. Another one that's better live. Laura is good. It's another weird experimental thing. Not one of my favorite songs on the record, but I appreciate it goes for it. It's certainly not holding anything back, Laura. Boing is cool. It's kind of like a proto Big Jelm. It's like a country kind of warbled. It's a cool. It's short. I like it. Mononucleosis is one of the best songs on the record. Kind of captures the feeling of the record of that like claustrophobic, insular, sick, tired, isolated, paranoid, just like hearing noise that you're not in control of, like that feeling that the overall album has of just kind of being almost like out of your body and kind of dead inside, and then there's just some thing going on behind you that you're too tired to even engage in. Uh, that kind of atmosphere of the record, I think, is so captured in Mononucleosis. And there's another instance of a song that I think would be a good, successful rock song if it was produced conventionally, but they use kind of intentionally clumsy, ugly sounding production and dynamics and effects, and it makes it a more polarizing sounding song. And then it's followed by Oh My Dear, I Must Be Falling in Love, which is just beautiful. It's just a beautiful, simple pop song. It's recorded nicely. It functions in this record just as like this cool breather of like, oh yeah, like it sounds like early Beatles via Guided by Voices. Um, to me, it's or Kink via Guided by I don't know. You can argue about who influenced a very straightforward love rock song. Pick a band. Um, Sketches of Winkle rules. It's speed metal, like fucking Motorhead. The lyrics are crazy. It's awesome. Alone is very good. Alone is one of the best songs in the record, I think. It's a very underrated ballad. Uh, Moving Away, I think, is more weird. Yeah, it's almost like a blues. It's like a weird kind of moaning. Yeah, it's not one of my favorite songs on the record. She Fucks Me is one of my favorite songs on the record. She Fucks Me is incredible. It's a perfect love song. One of the best Ween songs. I would have that should be my wedding song. I mean, nobody will marry me, but if somebody married me, then maybe that. Um, Pork roll, egg, and cheese is a perfect. It's not just a perfect Ween song. It's one of the best songs ever written. It's so fucking good. Like it kind of that "Oh My Dear, I Must Be Falling in Love" kind of like simple pop thing. It's like put that through the Ween filter, and then you have just a masterpiece. Just like it's like all the silliness and earnestness and sarcasm, and Taylor Ham is very good. There's nothing wrong with Pork Roll, Egg, and Cheese. And the only thing after Pork Roll, Egg, and Cheese is Stallion Part 2, which is probably even better than Stallion. Fucking Stallion rules. Both Stallions. I love the pod. Radiohead, Hail the Thief is a good record. Ween's The Pod is a better record. There are certain Radiohead albums that are better than certain Ween albums, probably. But The Pod is an unrecognized masterpiece, whereas Hail to the Thief is simply a slightly underrated album by probably an overall overrated band.